New videos every day.
Hello, my name is Joseph Strickland and I'm an applied clinical nutritionist here in Austin, Texas. Thank you for the feedback on my last video, and as you can see, I'm back. And today I'm going to answer the question about bleached white flour. Have you ever looked at a label and wondered, what is that? Do they put Clorox bleach in there and just mix it around and I'm eating it? Well, that question is now going to be answered. So if you were actually to take wheat and crunch it up into flour, it would have a yellowish tint to it, which, according to a survey, is not ideal. So to make it white, you can either let it sit out for 10 to 14 days, and oxygen will actually take that yellow tint away and make it white, or you can just spray some chemicals on it. And the added benefit to spraying chemicals on it is that you don't have to let it sit out for 10 to 14 days, but also it does it in a matter of seconds and increases shelf life because it destroys some of the nutrients that would normally go bad if it were to sit on the shelf. So various chemicals are used in the bleaching process of flour, one of which is chloride dioxide, like chlorine in your pool, and also nitrous dioxide. Kind of, you've heard of laughing gas, nitrous oxide, a little different, but similar concept. Also, bleach, which you put on your clothes, is a chemical and makes it white. Well, these are also chemicals that make the flour white. One of the byproducts of bleaching flour is a chemical called Alloxan. Interesting thing about Alloxan is that it's actually used to create a diabetic animal. For instance, if you've got a rat and you need to do drug trials on that rat to find out if this particular diabetic drug is going to work or that diabetic drug is going to work, you actually fill them full of Alloxan, destroy their pancreas, and then do the testing on them. Recent studies which check to see whether or not it is a problem for humans. And what they did is they subjected the amount that they put into a rat, for instance, into human pancreas cells. And in that study, it didn't necessarily show that it destroyed those cells, but no long-term studies have been done on it, which makes you wonder whether or not eating it constantly over a period of years could cause you a problem. And the fact remains that in Europe, it's illegal to bleach flour. So they have to wait their 10 or 15 days for that to happen. It's mostly a problem in the United States, and although controversial, a lot of people don't know about it. I mentioned that Alloxan has a long history of being controversial, and it actually does. Dr. Wiley, who founded the FDA, was very concerned about food additives, colorings, dyes, bleaching of flour, and things like this. He was afraid that it would hurt the health of the population. And he was so concerned that he actually took this to the Supreme Court, the bleaching of flour. He won. It went unheeded and unenforced. He was fed up and he quit. What ended up happening is you had a food regulatory agency, which is supposed to regulate the food down here. What they did is they took a guy here who worked for the Pillsbury Company and put him as head of the FDA. What problem that caused is regulation being done on an industry that is already doing things wrong. So it just messed things up. And in fact, in my opinion, the FDA has been messed up ever since. As a side note of interest, Dr. Wiley, the head of the FDA at the time, was actually responsible for changing Coca-Cola. Cocaine, was actually in Coke. And as a result of that, Dr. Wiley was like, well, that's not the best thing for people. So he went back and forth with Coca-Cola, and they came to a settlement which actually took cocaine out of the drink. However, as part of that settlement, they were still allowed to have secret ingredients, which no one knows to this day what they are. I'm actually going to read you a quote from Dr. Wiley. The guy was way ahead of his time. Listen to this. The makers of unfit foods have taken possession of Food and Drug Enforcement and have reversed the effect of the law, protecting the criminals that adulterate food instead of protecting the public health. Adulterate here just means to make unclean, not of a pure substance. So yeah, he was way ahead of his time. Another thing about bleached flour, which can be found in white bread, is an example of just how bad it is for you. It spikes your blood sugar. It's very high on the glycemic index. In fact, it's actually used as a marker, like sugar is, for like almost basically turning into sugar directly when it hits your stomach. So it's not good for you. If you get a hamburger and it's got that on there, you've got a substance that has basically been stripped of any nutrients, fake ones put in or synthetic ones put in, and no enzymes. Body has a hard time of digesting it, and it's also got this chemical Alloxan in it, most likely, if it was done with chloride dioxide. So if you still want some bread in your diet, I understand. It's hard to just give up something you've been eating your whole life. So what I would recommend is a bread that doesn't have bleached flour or enriched flour in it. Ezekiel bread or sprouted grain breads, different things like this are actually okay to eat. They don't have the bleaching in there. Ezekiel bread stems from the Bible. They actually have a recipe in there. From what I understand, it's written on the label that's, sold in the store. So if that's an interest to you, take it up. Or you can also move to Europe, where bleaching flour is illegal. For those of you that live in the Austin area, I wanted to invite you to my free weight loss lecture, which is coming up in a few weeks. Go to my website and look and see if that time's convenient for you, and I look forward to seeing you there. Also, please feel free to leave any comments, ideas, posts on YouTube. I love to read them. As well as look for my next video coming in a couple of weeks on food additives.